What if everything you knew about a royal family member was turned upside down? Prince Harry, long in the spotlight, has been at the center of shocking rumors and public scrutiny about his identity and place within the monarchy. After stepping away from royal duties, his relationships with his family members, especially his father, Prince Charles, and his brother, Prince William, became increasingly strained. What truly led to Harry and Meghan's decision to leave the royal family? How did the media's portrayal of their relationship with the royals affect their departure? What is the real story behind Harry's rift with the family? And how does it fit into the broader narrative of the monarchy's future? Let's dive in. Prince Harry has been at the center of royal speculation for years, but few rumors have been as persistent as those questioning his paternity. The story has been fueled by decades of tabloid headlines, social media debates, and public curiosity. His distinctive red hair, a trait associated more with his mother's family than the Windsor lineage, has only added to the speculation. Despite repeated denials from both the royal family and those involved, whispers about DNA tests and hidden truths have refused to die down. But where did these rumors originate, and why do they continue to persist despite the overwhelming evidence against them? The fascination with Prince Harry's lineage can be traced back to the tumultuous marriage of his parents, Prince Charles and Princess Diana. By the late 1980s, their relationship had become a public spectacle, with allegations of infidelity and deep emotional strain. The media seized upon the idea that Harry's birth in 1984 might have been connected to an affair, rather than the troubled but still functioning marriage between Charles and Diana. This speculation intensified in the early 1990s when Diana's relationship with James Hewitt, a former cavalry officer, became public knowledge. James Hewitt, known for his striking red hair, was a natural target for comparison. His close bond with Diana, which began in 1986, 2 years after Harry's birth, was widely documented. Hewitt himself admitted in later interviews that their relationship lasted for about 5 years, making it impossible for him to be Harry's biological father. Despite this, the physical similarities between Hewitt and Harry fueled relentless speculation. Diana's former bodyguard Ken Wharf attempted to put the rumors to rest by confirming the timeline, stating unequivocally that Diana did not meet Hewitt until after Harry was born. Yet the story remained a favorite topic for tabloids, particularly those eager to paint the royal family in a scandalous light. Prince Charles, for his part, has never publicly addressed the speculation. He has always presented himself as Harry's father, appearing affectionate and involved in his early years, at least in public settings. However, Charles's relationship with both of his sons was complicated by the rigid expectations of royal life. While William, the heir, was groomed for his future role, Harry often felt like the spare, as he later described himself in his memoir. The differences in their upbringing and treatment by the royal family contributed to Harry's sense of isolation, even before his eventual decision to step back from royal duties. The speculation surrounding Harry's paternity has been amplified by reports of alleged DNA testing. In 2003, rumors surfaced that a British tabloid had secretly conducted a DNA test to determine whether Charles was Harry's father. The supposed results, which allegedly confirmed Charles's paternity, were never officially published, leading many to dismiss the story as fabricated. If such a test had been conducted, it would have likely been done without royal authorization, raising ethical questions about the legitimacy of such claims. Despite the lack of credible evidence, the notion of a secret DNA test has remained part of the conspiracy theories surrounding Harry's lineage. What is clear, however, is that the doubts surrounding Harry's paternity have had little to do with actual science, and more to do with the perception of his place within the royal family. His appearance, while different from his father's, strongly resembles members of the Spencer family, particularly his uncle, Charles Spencer. Genetic traits such as hair color can be inherited from distant relatives, and red hair is a dominant feature within Diana's lineage. The argument that Harry must be illegitimate simply because his hair color does not match his father's is scientifically flawed. Nevertheless, public perception often outweighs reality, particularly in an era where speculation spreads faster than fact. Beyond the rumors, the real tension in Harry's life stemmed from his evolving relationship with his father and the royal institution. As he grew older, He struggled with the constraints of royal duty and the expectations placed upon him. His mother's tragic death in 1997 only deepened his disillusionment with the royal system. While he maintained a level of respect for his father, their bond was not without strain. Unlike William, who had a clear and defined role, Harry often seemed to be searching for a purpose beyond being the spare. His military service provided him with a sense of identity outside of the royal family, but even that could not fully detach him from the scrutiny that followed him everywhere. The growing distance between Harry and the royal family became more apparent when he met Meghan Markle. Their relationship from the beginning was subject to intense media scrutiny, much of which had racial and classist undertones. Meghan, an American actress and a woman of mixed race, was unlike any royal bride in modern history. While the monarchy attempted to present a united front, behind the scenes, tensions were rising. The treatment of Meghan within royal circles and the press coverage she received became a major source of conflict, pushing Harry further away from his family. Several senior members of the royal family were reportedly displeased with Harry's choice of partner. Meghan's outspokenness and her background clashed with the traditional image of royal spouses. Unlike Kate Middleton, who had spent years carefully integrating herself into royal life, Meghan was independent and accustomed to public life in a very different way. Her past relationships, her career as an actress, and her previous marriage all became points of criticism. More than that, her mixed-race heritage became a subtle but undeniable factor in the way she was treated by certain royal figures and sections of the British press. The friction between Harry, Meghan, and the royal family reached a breaking point when they decided to step back from royal duties in 2020. Their announcement, made in January, shocked the world and sent the British media into a frenzy. While the couple cited a desire for financial independence and freedom from the constraints of royal life, underlying tensions had been brewing for years. Harry's relationship with his father became increasingly strained as he chose a path that directly challenged royal tradition. The narrative pushed by many tabloids suggested that Meghan was the primary force behind their exit, but those who knew Harry well understood that he had long struggled with his royal identity. As the couple moved to North America and began carving out their own future, the hostility from certain royal figures became more apparent. Meghan and Harry's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021 laid bare the extent of the family's internal conflicts. While Harry remained careful not to completely vilify his father, his words carried an undertone of deep disappointment. He revealed that Charles had at one point stopped taking his calls and expressed frustration over the lack of support during their departure from royal life. The resentment toward Meghan within the royal family stemmed from more than just tradition. Some viewed her as an outsider who disrupted the careful balance of royal order. Unlike other royal spouses who adapted to the system, Meghan challenged it, often speaking openly about the difficulties she faced. This approach was seen as a direct challenge to the monarchy's long-standing practice of maintaining silence on internal matters. The royal family, particularly those who believed in upholding traditional values, saw her as a threat rather than an asset. Prince William, once close to Harry, found himself increasingly distant from his younger brother. The dynamic between them had shifted dramatically, with William focusing on his future role as king while Harry embraced a more independent path. The brothers, who had once navigated the complexities of royal life together, were now on opposite ends of a growing divide. Other senior royals, including Princess Anne and Prince Edward, were also believed to have mixed feelings about Harry's decisions. While some sympathized with his struggles, others viewed his departure as a betrayal of duty. Despite all the controversy, Harry has remained steadfast in his decision to build a life outside of the monarchy. While speculation over DNA tests and hidden secrets may continue, the reality of his departure from royal life had little to do with genetics and everything to do with personal choice. His journey has been one of self-discovery, shaped by years of public scrutiny and family tensions. Though his relationship with his father remains complex, his choices reflect a desire to break free from an institution that never truly felt like home. As Harry and Meghan began their life in North America, the royal family's response was nothing short of a complicated mix of public denials and private frustrations. While the couple sought independence from the monarchy, they were also still very much tied to its image. Their decision to step back from royal duties was seen as both a personal and public statement, But the royal family did not immediately embrace this shift. Behind closed doors, the situation was far more contentious, and it became clear that the rift between Harry and certain family members was widening. The media frenzy surrounding Harry and Meghan's decision to step away from their royal duties became even more intense in the months that followed. Publicly, the royal family maintained a neutral stance, but those close to them were less restrained. In private, there were reports of royal insiders expressing disappointment, and some believed that Harry's decision was a betrayal of his duty. The media's portrayal of Meghan and Harry was often unflattering, presenting them as rebellious figures who were abandoning the royal family at a time when their presence was needed most. This portrayal only added to the emotional strain Harry was feeling, as the weight of public opinion clashed with his personal desires for a more fulfilling life outside the confines of royal tradition. Throughout this period, Harry's relationship with his father, Prince Charles, grew even more strained. While there were moments of public reconciliation, the underlying tension between the two men could not be ignored. Harry, who had long struggled with the pressures of royal life, was now confronting a new set of challenges. His decision to distance himself from the family, in part due to the overwhelming media scrutiny, forced him to examine the nature of his connection to the monarchy. For years, Harry had been seen as a popular royal figure, beloved by the public for his charity work and free-spirited nature. However, as his relationship with Meghan progressed and his desire for a life away from the monarchy became clearer, the public narrative began to shift. The narrative surrounding Harry's relationship with his father has always been complex. While Charles publicly supported Harry's personal choices, there were moments of tension that suggested their bond was not as strong as it once appeared. The press had long painted Charles as a more distant father figure, with the perception that Harry's closeness to his mother, Diana, had played a role in shaping his distance from the royal family. Despite this, Charles had publicly expressed love and support for his son, even after the decision to step back from royal duties. Yet, when Harry and Meghan made the decision to step away, Charles's support seemed more conditional. Harry later revealed in interviews that there were times when his father's actions did not align with his words, especially during their departure from the United Kingdom. This divergence only deepened the emotional divide between the two, and Harry's feelings of betrayal became more pronounced. In the face of this personal turmoil, Harry's relationship with other members of the royal family also became increasingly distant. Prince William, Harry's older brother, had been the first to express disappointment in the couple's decision to distance themselves from the monarchy. As the future king, William had a duty to uphold the family's public image, and Harry's departure presented a challenge to that. The brothers, once inseparable, found themselves growing apart as their paths diverged. Harry's decision to carve out a new identity for himself with Meghan was seen as a challenge to the royal family's long-standing traditions, and William was not the only one who struggled with this. Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and other senior royals were reportedly uncomfortable with the couple's departure. While some royal insiders expressed understanding, the majority of the family viewed it as a disruption to the established order. The royal family's discomfort with Harry and Meghan's choices was not just about their desire for independence. It was about the way in which they had expressed their grievances publicly. Meghan, in particular, was seen as a disruptive force within the royal family. Her outspoken nature, combined with her background in Hollywood and her outspoken advocacy for social justice, made her an outlier in the royal family. The public focus on her mental health struggles, the racism she experienced, and the isolation she felt within the family became a focal point for both the media and the royal family. For many members of the royal family, Meghan's presence was a constant reminder of how out of sync she was with the monarchy's values. This contributed to a growing sense of alienation between Harry and the institution. The couple's decision to seek financial independence and step away from the royal spotlight was a major point of contention within the royal family. While the family publicly supported the couple's desire for privacy and peace, there was a significant degree of skepticism behind the scenes. The royal family has long upheld the notion that their wealth and status come with an inherent responsibility to serve the public, and stepping away from this duty was viewed as abandoning the very essence of what it meant to be a royal. For Harry, this decision was not a rejection of the royal family. but a step towards living a life that was more authentic to his values and priorities. His relationship with Meghan was a central part of this decision, as he sought to protect her from the harsh media scrutiny she faced as a royal. But the ramifications of this choice were far-reaching, and the emotional toll it took on Harry was considerable. One of the most public aspects of Harry's estrangement from the royal family came in the form of his and Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021. The interview, which aired globally, was a bombshell for the royal family. During the conversation, Harry and Meghan revealed the extent of their struggles within the royal family, including allegations of racism and a lack of support. Harry spoke candidly about the emotional toll that his family's reactions had on him, revealing that his father had stopped taking his calls in the lead-up to their departure. This moment in the interview was particularly poignant, as it highlighted the deep emotional divide between Harry and Charles. The revelations left the royal family reeling, and the public fallout was immediate. Many sympathized with Harry and Meghan, but the royal family was left to contend with the damage to their public image. As Harry reflected on his decision to step away from royal life, it became clear that his reasons were far more complex than just a desire for privacy. His decision to distance himself from the monarchy was rooted in his need to find a sense of peace and fulfillment away from the expectations of his birthright. The decision was not an easy one, and the emotional toll it took on Harry was immense. Despite the media portrayal of Harry as someone who rejected the royal family, his choices were driven by a need to redefine his identity on his own terms. In the years since stepping down, Harry has continued to find his voice, becoming an advocate for mental health, social justice, and family, while also navigating the personal cost of his decision. As the dust began to settle from the dramatic interview with Oprah Winfrey, Harry and Meghan's lives continued to evolve. The couple had made it clear that their decision to step away from royal duties was not about abandoning their responsibilities, but about seeking a life that would allow them to focus on their values and their family's well-being. Yet, as they carved out their new path in California, the repercussions of their departure from the royal family continued to unfold. The media, with its voracious appetite for royal drama, turned its focus to the ongoing tensions within the family, and the monarchy itself found itself under increasing scrutiny. The public's fascination with Harry and Meghan's new life was in part due to the void left by their departure. The couple's choice to step away from the royal family set the stage for a broader conversation about the monarchy's role in modern society. The British royal family, once seen as a symbol of continuity and stability, now appeared to be grappling with the changing dynamics of the 21st century. The question of whether the royal family could adapt to contemporary values was now a central theme. Harry and Meghan's decision to go their own way highlighted just how out of step some members of the royal family had become with the changing public expectations. In the years following their exit, Harry's relationship with the royal family remained complex. While he continued to express love for his family, there was an undeniable sense of distance, both physical and emotional. His move to California with Meghan and their children symbolized a break not just from royal life, but from the expectations that had long defined his identity. The couple was now building a life that prioritized personal freedom, mental health, and privacy over duty and tradition. Yet despite their desire for independence, their every move was still under intense scrutiny. The media, particularly the British press, continued to focus on their every decision, often portraying them as self-centered and out of touch with reality. This portrayal only fueled the tension between Harry and the royal family. As Harry sought to build a new life, his relationship with his father remained one of the most sensitive and scrutinized aspects of his life. In the wake of the Oprah interview, Charles publicly expressed his desire to repair the relationship with Harry, but it was clear that the wounds ran deep. For Harry, the emotional pain of feeling unsupported by his father during such a critical moment was difficult to overcome. He had hoped for understanding and compassion, especially considering the difficulties Meghan faced with the press and the challenges they both encountered as they navigated their new life away from royal duties. However, what Harry found instead was a lack of communication and at times indifference from the institution he had been born into. The pressure Harry felt from his royal duties was not just about public expectations, but about a family dynamic that had been shaped by generations of tradition. The weight of being a member of the royal family came with its own set of expectations that Harry had grown increasingly disillusioned with. The royal family's rigid structure and unspoken rules of behavior often left little room for personal expression or independence. In stepping away, Harry was seeking not only a break from the media, but a break from the constraints that had defined his role for most of his life. This desire for personal freedom became a central theme in his and Meghan's decision to step back, and it played a significant role in the tensions that developed within the family. Despite the tension, Harry's bond with his brother William continued to be a source of public interest. The brothers, once close allies in navigating the challenges of royal life, now found themselves at odds. The media frequently compared their paths, with William representing the future of the monarchy, while Harry's new life seemed to embody a break from tradition. The contrasting approaches of the two brothers highlighted the growing divide between those who were committed to preserving the monarchy's legacy and those, like Harry, who were seeking to redefine their place within it. The distance between William and Harry became more pronounced as Harry's decisions increasingly diverged from those of his older brother. While William was focused on preparing for his eventual role as king, Harry was more concerned with carving out a life that was true to his own values and vision for the future. The emotional toll that Harry experienced from his strained relationship with his family became more evident as time went on. The pressure of living under constant public scrutiny, combined with the personal challenges he faced in rebuilding his life away from the royal family, took a significant emotional toll on him. In interviews and public statements, Harry opened up about his struggles with mental health, acknowledging the impact that the intense media attention and the emotional strain of his royal responsibilities had on him. This openness was a stark contrast to the traditional, more reserved nature of the royal family, and it set Harry apart from other members of the monarchy. For Harry, mental health was no longer a taboo topic, but a crucial part of his journey toward healing and self-discovery. In addition to his mental health advocacy, Harry also began to focus more on his charitable work. The couple's move to California allowed them to take on projects that aligned with their values, including their work with the Invictus Games, mental health initiatives, and their environmental efforts. These causes allowed Harry to move beyond the constraints of royal duty and embrace a more independent, purpose-driven life. He and Meghan became vocal advocates for issues they cared about, using their platform to draw attention to mental health, racial justice, and the environment. This was a far cry from the role Harry had once played as a member of the royal family, but it was a reflection of his desire to make a positive impact on the world in a way that felt authentic to him. Despite their efforts to forge a new life, the ongoing media attention and public speculation continued to follow Harry and Meghan. The British press, in particular, continued to scrutinize their every move, often portraying them in a negative light. The couple's decision to leave the royal family had been seen by some as an act of rebellion, but to Harry and Meghan, it was a necessary step toward finding peace and living a life free from the pressures that had defined them for so long. As they continued their work in California, they remained under the microscope, but they also continued to push back against the negative narratives and reclaim their story. For Harry, the journey of stepping away from the royal family had been one of both personal growth and public controversy. The decision to leave, while painful, was ultimately about finding a sense of peace and self-worth outside the shadow of the monarchy. While his relationship with his father and the royal family may never fully heal, Harry has made it clear that his focus is now on his own family and the work that brings him fulfillment. As he and Meghan continue to navigate their new life, it is clear that the royal family's influence will always be a part of their story, but it is no longer the defining factor in their lives. As Harry and Meghan settled into their new life in California, they sought independence from the royal family, aiming for privacy and the freedom to define their own narrative. However, their decision to step back from royal duties came with its own set of challenges, particularly the ongoing media scrutiny. The British press, relentless in its coverage, portrayed the couple in a negative light, often focusing on their decision to leave and their supposed rebellion against royal tradition. Harry's relationship with his father, Prince Charles, grew more distant. Although Charles expressed a desire to reconcile, Harry felt unsupported during the critical moments leading up to their departure. The lack of communication and understanding from his father made the emotional strain even more difficult to bear. Despite outward appearances, their bond was fractured by unmet expectations and the pressures of public life. Meghan, who had faced constant media attacks since her entry into the royal family, was a major factor in Harry's decision to step away. Her outspoken nature, her mixed-race background, and her advocacy for social justice made her a polarizing figure within the royal family. While some royal members, including the Queen, showed support, others felt Meghan's presence was disruptive. The media's portrayal of her, particularly in relation to her mental health struggles and the racism she faced, intensified the couple's desire to leave. The couple's move to California represented more than just a geographical shift. It was a break from the constraints of royal life. In California, they focused on their family and philanthropic efforts, such as their work with the Invictus Games, mental health initiatives, and environmental causes. Although they no longer held official royal duties, their every move continued to be scrutinized by the press, highlighting the difficulty in escaping public attention. Harry's relationship with his brother William also suffered. Once close, their paths now diverged, with William focused on his role as future king and Harry seeking independence. The media played a large role in fueling the division, often comparing the brothers and creating a narrative of rivalry. Their growing distance was a reflection of their differing views on the monarchy and their roles within it. Despite these tensions, Harry and Meghan remained committed to their causes, advocating for mental health, racial justice, and women's rights. They continued to speak openly about their struggles, using their platform to bring attention to important issues. Through their work and their growing family, they sought to find a sense of purpose outside of the royal family's shadow. Harry's decision to step away from the monarchy was not an easy one. It was driven by a need for personal peace and freedom from the pressures of royal life. Although the public's perception of him and Meghan shifted over time, their journey has been one of self-discovery and finding their voice. Their choice to leave the royal family marked a significant break, but it also set the stage for a new chapter in their lives, one where they could live authentically and on their own terms. Harry and Meghan's decision to step away from royal duties marked a significant turning point in their lives. Moving to California, they sought to create a life focused on personal freedom, family, and charitable work, away from the constant media attention and royal expectations. Although they faced ongoing scrutiny, the couple continued to prioritize their mental health and well-being. Harry's relationship with his father, Prince Charles, and his brother, Prince William, remained strained. Despite public attempts at reconciliation, the emotional distance caused by years of pressure and misunderstanding was difficult to bridge. The media's portrayal of Harry and Meghan only added fuel to the fire, making it challenging for the family to heal. Nonetheless, Harry and Meghan's commitment to their charity work and advocacy for mental health and social justice allowed them to carve out a meaningful role outside the monarchy. They found purpose in their projects, such as the Invictus Games and other initiatives that reflected their values. The royal family, facing the growing challenge of adapting to modern expectations, found itself in a period of reflection. Harry's departure was not just about leaving a role. It symbolized the broader struggle between personal freedom and duty to the crown. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.